Adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 91. I am blessed because I am here with the entire crew. Michael, the Late Show Pirelli, as you will see, he'll be walking in. My brother, what's going on? I am also here with Claudio, the voice Valenzuela, Justin Satchel, the intern Sanchez, and I am Dave, the body Regina. I'm sitting here in a turtleneck and some Chelsea boots today. The beard is brawly. Right? It's a little bigger than most. We're waiting for Michael to sit down in the chair because we're already recording as he has walked in.
Well, I know that. This is how I want it because I'm walking out with
yes.
so
welcome back, my
Sorry
brother.
about that, guys.
That's all right, man. You're here and we are live. So
hell yeah,
we're ready to
just
rip.
Assume we're always live.
Crazy, man.
Look at
Cheers.
this. All right, here's my question.
Go ahead.
Did I buy this? Or was this stolen?
Stolen. Where'd you steal that from?
This is from the in-laws. I went to the in-laws yesterday, and I was looking for a to-go cup. First off, they don't have pods, so I had to make coffee the old school way. When's the last time you made like a pot of coffee?
Oof.
A pot of coffee, like a full
a pot,
like with the filter.
Actually, so not that long ago, because my parents still live in the Stone Age, and they
Hopefully they don't listen.
They still make coffee the old school way. They still make tea the old school in a pot. Like it's very so. I am familiar. We don't do it at home. We have the pods, not the pots.
Yeah.
But yes.
So I did that last night. I made a full pot, and I didn't know the ratio, so I made some lightning to get home. But they, there was this, and they were like, "We don't even use that. What's that for?" And I was like, "That's a Yeti mug. Like, I'm gonna grab this." He's like, "Yeah, take whatever." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I pulled a Chris Salva. But anyway, how's everyone doing?
Good, man. So you had texted us. You said, I'll be a few minutes late.
15 to be exact.
No problem. But you said ready to rip. So we said,
I'm ready to rock.
let's start ripping.
Caffeine, baby.
Good. Let's go pod bod. Father figure update. I'll start us off.
Yeah, that tag you gave,
What?
incredible.
To
the
what?
tag of the video.
Of which one?
The person lifting all the weights. Dude, so good. Dana texted me and said, "You need to look at what Dave just tagged you, and it's perfect."
So
wait.
Did
Hold
you
on.
see
What-
it?
No. What is this?
Oh my
Because I
God.
saw something this morning that I was going to show you guys. Is this not a soccer feed that I follow?
Yeah.
And it's this guy that has kind of like your style.
Yeah.
Things tied to
Yes.
and
That's
then he goes down and he picks up.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
That's
same
the
one?
So it's on
Yeah,
our
yeah.
story, man.
Yeah, he tagged
Come on,
us.
bro.
Way to follow.
I'm going to put it on these guys.
Yeah. Show the video. But that was absolutely hilarious. And then the background music is so good.
Got me some good ideas.
It's literally you, though.
it's me.
And then the Crocs attached to it. It's just hilarious. But Dana and I were texting back and forth crying.
That guy's got like 1,500 pounds
Yes.
on there, though.
Well, she's like, "Dave, I literally have tears in my eyes." And then, the response was so good. But I saw it. It was one of those things that I actually laughed out loud. Yes, that video.
And then the
Yeah.
other thing, which well done, very good.
Thank you.
The meme, Dave the meme. The other thing was Dana was laughing, giggling to herself while she was looking at her story, and it was me working out. And I was like, "What the hell is she laughing at?" And I was doing squats, right? So in the first two clips, we cut a hole in the back foundation for the air handler for our HVAC system.
Okay.
So there's a hole, right? Apparently, I didn't hear because I was blasting music. On the third rep, you'll see me go down, and Dana's face is in the hole looking at me. So she was dying laughing because she was like, "You didn't even realize I was in the friggin' background
That's so
of the
funny.
clip you posted."
I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, so I might have to pull it up again and show people
just
like
to
where
show.
she is.
Wow, that's hilarious.
She's on a roll.
Yo, today is day 40 as we're recording this, 40 on the year. So I am 40 for 40.
Does it look good?
However, I got to be honest with myself. I would probably think that I'm somewhere between 11.5% and 12% body fat at this current moment.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
No, it's not bad. I don't think that I can get over 12% if I'm trying to dial it back to 8. I don't want to give myself that swing.
Some would say get up to like 20-ish and then work your way back
and then
down.
just shed. But
Yeah.
I've really been thinking about potentially getting a coach, like a structured trainer to where I can put somebody else's expertise to practice.
Sick.
I can do it myself, clearly. I think I have the knowledge, the foundation, but I think it would add an additional level of motivation to me if I can, partner with somebody. And the reason why I'm saying is there were a couple trainers that came up to me in the gym and they were like, listen, you got any goals or whatever? I'm like, yeah, like blah, blah, I want to be 8%.
What goals did you tell them?
So it was really the 8% body fat thing.
Just that?
Yeah. And, I don't want to lose any muscle really during my approach. So it's got to be over an extended period of time. But, that's pretty much the goal. And obviously the goal always is longevity, right? I want to be around as long as possible and I want to be functional.
Yeah.
I want to be functional.
Yeah. But to have like an 8-pack for like 3 years would be pretty
That
sick,
would be fire.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I'm talking to them and they're like, hey, we know you got the podcast. Would you be interested in, having us kind of coach you up? I'm like,
pretty cool.
This is weird. This is something I've been thinking about in my head. But honestly, even my pride has gotten in the midst of things. And I've been like, I don't really want to ask anybody. So then I digested that for a minute. And I'm like, wait, you know what? I'm actually going to reach out to a couple personal trainers that I know, thanks for your idea, but I don't really know you.
Yeah, which I think if you're going to go with something like that, you got to go with someone that you want to work with that is like
correct
above your caliber and a known entity.
Right, exactly.
I appreciate that.
So no, I'm just thinking about it, kind of looking at some connections to potentially take it to the next level.
And if you're asking, I'm not available, so I can't help you on that front. But
that's where
I'll take myself out of the running right off the bat.
That's where I was going. This comes out Monday, so if you're listening on drop day, that's a beautiful thing, and hopefully my colonoscopy went well because it'll be
it's Friday.
Friday, exactly.
So subscribe for Dave's colonoscopy, because if we lose him, we're gonna need another co-pilot and we're gonna need someone to see us.
Dude,
so subscribe.
Not for nothing. I showed CV yesterday.
What a transition.
The bowel prep, it's called, right? And basically it cleans your entire colon. Like this drink, Michael, you drink it and you better be accessible.
Would it be? Is it available to shed some LBs?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
I'm going to go with you to prep for a colonoscopy and just not get one.
And just not get it. But it's a full colon cleanse. So on Thursday night, I got to drink this substance. And then Friday morning again before I go into this procedure, right? So the side effects, the potentials are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, liver failure.
Pepto-Bismol.
Liver failure. What was the other thing, Stevie? Kidney failure. Yeah. And
just
heart
from
failure.
The drink?
Yes.
Jesus.
So I'm like, wait, what am I doing here?
Beauty's pain.
What am I doing here? But no, man, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about it. So hopefully all goes well. But
you'll be fine. They just put that stuff just in case you're a Neanderthal and your body reacts differently. I want to hear more about the trainers. So who are the trainers you're eyeing? Do you want to put it out into the zeitgeist, as people would say?
Who I'm going to hit first is going to be...
Time out. Rephrase it. I'm going to hit first. Wow, Siri, quiet. We're podding.
I'll leave the names off.
You said I'm going to hit first. The way you say stuff sometimes, which Karina jumps on the back with me.
Yes, she does.
That was a weird way to say jumps on the back with me. On your
jumps
back
on the back.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to speak
my back.
my language.
Starting to speak Neanderthal. I'm going to hit first is very aggressive. You're going to hit someone up, right? Hit them up.
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
correct.
Reach out to.
Right.
Okay. We're going to work on this together. Me and you.
I'm going to us together.
You and I. Let's go.
Yes.
2020 New English. No
right.
English.
Shout out Karina, the English
So
teacher.
who you going to hit over the head?
So I'm coming, I think, at Ambrosio Castellano first.
Love him. Do you know his kid's doing food now?
Yes.
And he's been tagging us when we're promoting him?
It looks awesome. He's
Amazing.
the cutest kid ever.
Yeah.
And the way he says his own name, Ambrosio, is not an easy name, especially for a baby.
You're going to be working out with him getting ripped. I'm going to be cooking with the sun, getting fat.
Getting huge.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to hit him up first, see kind of, where the conversation goes. Ambrose and
do you know him well?
I and you. Yeah. I mean, we went to high school together, got close through Castriot Gemma, a former No Snooze alum.
Yeah.
So he's been in the game a long time.
Seems like a good dude. I don't know him well. But.
Great dude. And he's focused, man. He's been doing this for some years now. He's got 2 kids. So he's a father. He's a husband.
Lives in Greenwich, right?
Lives in Greenwich.
Come on over.
And he's definitely one that I'm coming at you first, Ambrose.
Okay.
So
if you're
be
listening,
ready.
So much for not putting names out there.
Wait, you said you weren't.
I said I wasn't going to put names.
No,
out
why?
there.
Why?
Why not?
Why?
Well, if he says no, then it's
who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's not available, that's fine.
Ambrose, if you say no, we got issues, my brother. All right.
I would think
If he
based
says
on
no, I guess we're cutting this out of the episode.
no. Based
I should
on
reach
what,
out to him, I guess, before the release.
No, that's good. Based on what I've seen, though, it seems like he would be very complimentary to what your style. He seems like it'd be a perfect fit.
I mean, his legs. I've never seen thicker legs. On
I
this
need
dude.
some legs.
This dude, it's bizarre.
Can you guys record your workouts so then I can just work from home? And
But you
try to
know
copy
what it is for me. I think I need that added level of accountability, right? And I'm a big proponent these
Isn't
days.
that funny? We were like his legs. Sorry, I was just thinking
of
that.
seeking out other experts in the in a field of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I plan my workouts, my meals. I do it on Sundays for the meal prep. I do it daily for the workouts. But what if I was able to provide some value to him in some way through the brand?
I'm sure you can.
To bring exposure to him. But now that takes the thought process for me and all the time that I spend away. Right, so it's something that definitely.
Nice.
Oh, I thought we were going.
What the hell was that?
CV and I have a handshake. We go slap and dap.
All right, go ahead.
Right, the slappy dappy. If you're on YouTube, you would get that.
Yeah,
the mush.
We do the
mush.
I just slap it away.
But yeah, man, it's one of those things that I love. I love to work out. I love to better myself in the gym. The compound effects, as we'll talk about for this episode, strictly for fitness, has built my regimen for life. But I want to lean on somebody else, to kind of help me and see, is it all nonsense? Do I know more than everybody? Like I think I do sometimes, very stubbornly.
Probably.
Or can, I get some accelerated growth pretty rapidly.
I wonder if there's an effect of, the theory that if you don't cook, there is science behind this, but basically if someone else cooks you a meal, it tastes better than if you cooked it yourself because you become used to the smells while you're making it. So it's less of a kind of a shock to the system when you try it for the first bite. So that's why when you're like, oh, I don't know why, but when you make it, it's so much better. There's a science behind that.
Wow.
So maybe it translates with working out. Maybe your muscles will be confused and be like, what is this input?
I love getting confused.
You're the most confused person I know. No, that's great. I love it. A little jelly. I wonder if he'll take me. But my restrictions are you got to come at 5 a.m. to my gym with my equipment. He's gonna be like, I can't do this.
Like, listen, man, and it's 4 degrees in here. I can't do it. And then a couple other people, but we'll go with Ambrose. Hopefully he says yes.
So I have a transition that relates to the pod, and I'll talk about that. But also, I'm finding a coach for my suits. I got my crew over at Suit Supply. That I'm trying to put together a little dealie to give them some promotion and then basically rebuild my closet from scratch.
Beautiful.
I'm getting a new closet in the new house, and I'm like, what better time to kind of strip it down, just like my body, strip it down, and then build it back up.
Okay.
So I had a 2-hour meeting with my guy, Rogelio, at Suit Supply.
What a name. Rogelio.
My guy, Rogelio. Smooth. My man is dressed. I mean, he works at Suit Supply. He's got to be. He's been there like 6 years. I got some of my first suits when I started real estate. Well, not first, but better suits with him. So we went with a custom year-round suit, custom shirt. I'm going all custom from now on because I'm like, I spend the same amount of money getting off-the-rack stuff that I run into the ground and I like, but I don't love. So I'd rather spend a little more for something I love that complements the body that I'm building to give me more incentive to be nice and tight. Because I asked him, I go, Rogelio, how much weight can I fluctuate and still fit into my suits?
6 pounds.
He looks at me. He goes,
half a pound.
So first off, you know how I know he knows his stuff? He looked at me concerned. Like, don't do it. Like, this is a beautiful suit I'm making you. Like, I don't want you to ruin it. He's like, 10 pounds. 10 pounds. That's
okay,
it.
That's not
Mike,
bad.
10 pounds. And I'm like, he's like, 10. And I was like, okay, all right, I promise, 10 pounds. And he's like, are you going to, get skinnier? I'm like, the plan is just throw muscle on top.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I could work with that. I could work with muscle. Like, we had a conversation, 100% serious.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I love it.
By the way, please don't insult the man. His name is Rogelio.
Oh, dude. What, if
please make
I
sure
think
you
that's
get your
more insulting if I
sound in
roll
there.
into a place and I try to roll an
Rogelio.
L.
And there was a
I don't know about the Rogelio that
want
you
him.
call it.
Rogelio.
Rogelio.
But
He will be happy if you pronounce it correctly.
So if you haven't been there, we have to go one time because I know you like a good suit. They have a whole building. You walk in, you make an appointment. They have 3 levels. First level is like accessories, sport coats, kind of all that good stuff. And then on the second level, you have the custom suit fitting where you have all your suits. I tried on a green suit. I was this close to buying a green suit to start.
Why not?
You can't start the closet with green, dude.
Why not?
I look like I'm straight at Casino. I look like De Niro.
Is that a movie? Show.
So
are we going to the casino?
So anyway, amazing spot. And as far as the body, okay, I went in for my weigh-in. I'm going to do once a month.
Okay.
So I did end of January weigh-in, right?
Cool.
Diet's been, up and down. The key is getting enough protein. That's what I did when we did the challenge. The first phase was just getting enough protein, building that muscle so I can have some compound effects when I'm going to burn it later.
Boom.
You like it?
Like it.
So I weighed in and I was like, please, just build a little bit of muscle. Just a little bit of muscle. I was feeling extra thick. We went out the night before to the Ranger game. So terrible timing. Midday. I ended up, I had my water in the morning. So with all that said, I added 3 pounds of muscle.
Beautiful.
Which the machine's probably still broken. And some fat, about a pound and change of fat.
And some fat.
Yeah, which if you're doing a dirty bulk, which I'm doing the dirtiest of bulks,
okay,
that's what you run into.
Beautiful, man.
But I was pumped about that. I was like, oh.
Yes. I will question one thing that I saw.
No question.
I have a question. I got a question.
No
I got a question. You on one post, you mentioned phase 2.
Yes, phase 2.
But
combining the lips.
I get you, but
Do you want me to break it down for you?
Yes. How did you get
I'm
through?
not available to train you.
How did you get through phase 1 so quickly?
Because that was first month. First month was phase 1.
Was it a full month?
Yeah, it was full month. January.
So we were having 12 phases on the year?
No, that's what I don't do 12 steps like you.
12-step Dave.
So the thought was, let me get my form down.
Okay.
Then when I feel like my form is nice, which I feel like it's incredible, 325,
easy,
dude. I'm not
easy on a string, if you will.
I challenge anyone to go in the basement, right?
That's 4 degrees.
4 degrees at 5 a.m. and try to max out with any help.
With dumbbells on the side.
Without an earshot, with dumbbells. with I'm not even going to mention the dust that I'm inhaling while I'm benching.
Okay.
I think I'm creating a super athlete.
Oh, you are.
I think inhaling lead and all this stuff that's coming out of the walls might be making me into like a Ninja Turtle or something.
Superhuman.
I feel like I got a shell on me now.
I knew you'd have an answer, but I was laughing because you see most typical phases are like 6 to 12 weeks, somewhere in there. Mike did his 6 to 12 days.
3 weeks.
And now
I'm fluid.
But I knew you'd have a good answer. You said I wanted to structure phase 1 based off my foundation and getting my form right.
Which was true.
So there you go.
Shoulder feels good too.
Looks good.
Healthy.
Popping out of that denim color, if you will.
Denim? What?
Right? Isn't that denim
I don't
color?
think denim's a color, is it?
Denim? That denim.
I'm learning. I'll tell you in the future after I
I
get my
believe
coach.
denim is a color.
It is, right?
Is it color?
So is periwinkle. But, we don't want to go through
and that's why I got a coach for fashion, because I need it. Dana's my personal shopper. Rogelio.
Rogelio.
Whoa,
I'm going to bring you with me next time. Be like, hey, this is my guy.
This is my guy.
This is my translator. So anyway, the phase 2, let me see what you think about phase 2.
Talk to me.
Phase 2 is now combining compound lifts, compound interest, which we're talking about.
Boom.
Compound lifts. So I'm doing chest, tries, which is a typical bro split, if you will, right? Chest, tries, back, buys. So I think my weakest parts, I think my strongest is my chest, right? You too. Strongest is chest. Tries, I think, are, it's probably second best, even though they're terrible. He's going to do every body part while I'm doing it. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, but also look at his chest bouncing up and down.
I can do that too. I just put it on the wide lens, by the way.
For his chest?
I believe that's his version of saying, you're kind of boring me, so look at my titties flick around.
Well, I'm asking for feedback here.
However, can I jump in really quick?
Sure, why not?
If I can make him jump too if you want. I can do that for you.
Hit me. Oh,
but
wow.
The intern,
Jesus Christ.
The intern, Satchel Sanchez, wanted to make sure that you guys knew that he's doing his job while you guys are chatting.
Okay.
Attaboy.
So he got a definition. So he wanted me to read it about denim being a color.
Oh,
are you guys ready?
On the quick trigger.
Sorry for the interruption.
Not at all.
We'll come back to the boring scheduled.
Wow.
I'm playing. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Feeling hot
It's
today.
extremely interesting.
I love how he's coming in hot.
Denim.
A little turned on.
Denim is a range of light to dark blue colors. That's a short version.
So it's a range.
Okay.
Based on variations of the cotton textile of the same name. Denim is a fashion textile that is traditionally dyed with a natural pigment known as indigo.
Ooh, indigo. That's good. That's good.
I indigo go, baby.
Ooh. Back to phase
Back
two.
to the fitness.
Back to the
Chest and tries, right? Start with the strength. I'm going to try to get more reps with my weaker body parts, just like Arnold did with his calves. I think I'm kind of similar. So you got chest tries, back buys, shoulders. I'm keeping shoulders separate because I feel like shoulders gas me out for chest because I use a lot of shoulder, it seems like. So I'm trying to do all my strict presses and all that stuff and increase weight, which I've been consistently increasing my weight anywhere from 10 to 20% per session.
That's a lot.
I dropped all the way down. So now I'm form.
Gotcha.
Sets of 10. So it's a lighter weight, but I'm increasing total volume, which we talked about. I know science, amazing. So shoulders separate day, legs separate day.
Okay.
And then re-rotate. So I should be hitting each body part twice a week or roughly twice a week. Obviously it's 8 days versus 7, but I now have kind of the system where I'm getting all my compounds lift in and then I'm focusing on my weak parts, which are my legs and my shoulders.
Okay.
So I'm going to look like a goddamn Ninja Turtle soon.
I like it.
Is phase 3. Is I'm going to turn into a green guy. Phase 3, I'm not sure what is yet, but at some point I'm going to have to drop some body fat and recalibrate the calorie intake because right now I'm working at an excess. 25 to 3,000 calorie kid.
Okay.
I think my body's so confused because I haven't eaten like real meals in so long that like real food being introduced in my body is really reacting well.
You did the microwavable approach for.
I did.
For
I ride or die by the air fryer.
The air fryer is good.
Yeah, 400 degrees, never change it. I just change the time.
I like it.
Compound.
I think it's. Listen.
Every time I break down what's going on, you give me this move.
Well, because
Okay.
I process. So
what are you processing? What's going on in that head?
No, your thought process is good.
If you were my trainer, what would you tell me right now?
We have to pick something and stick to it for a little bit longer.
Phase 2. We're sticking to phase 2.
So are there 12 phases of this is my point.
No, phase 2 is like a big phase. Phase 2 is like the meat of, like if we're doing a hamburger, we're doing bun. Phase 1's a shorter time.
Okay.
Then hamburger. Then phase 3 might be to get cut to get to 10.
Okay.
But the majority of the hamburger, the phase 2 is going to be the phase for life. Does that make sense?
Yes. You're not doing anything wrong. You're doing everything right, but now it's just the consistency of it. And if you can pull that off, then you'll be good.
Wow.
So that's what I process in my head when I'm like, I like it.
I don't know if I like the processing.
I
don't eat processed food, so we'll go to the next topic.
I don't eat processed food. So what did I want to share today? I had a couple things before we jump into the podcast, but I think it will all kind of tie in. So got very alarming news, getting serious for a second. My dad calls me, right? And he's like, "Hey bud, I gotta talk to you regarding my grandmother." Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, like I know this is not gonna be great. So because of COVID and the whole pandemic, I think elderly people, got kind of lonely in terms of doctor's appointments. Maybe they weren't as accessible over the course of the past 2 years. So she goes in and she gets, a full scan and comes back that she's actually diagnosed with lung cancer. Love my grandma to death, but is that the most surprising news in the world to us? No, she's been an avid smoker since she was probably 12 years old. That was pretty normal back then, right? So, but she's a heavy smoker. So that news wasn't very alarming to us. Still don't know the diagnosis in terms of the stage, but things kind of progress. She actually has 2 masses on one on her left lung, 3 by 5 centimeters, one on the right side, but it's in a weird location near the heart, so they're both inoperable. Right, so we're kind of talking through it, and my dad is very positive. We call him Saint Michael. We all have, all the kids have a Saint Mike in our car.
Dude, I might steal that. That's great.
Yeah, but that's he's been the saint of our family. So he's always he's very optimistic, very positive, always sees, brighter days. So then they're like, we got to run these extra tests because obviously this diagnosis comes back. We're like, all right, cool. Run a bunch of tests. My dad goes, also, she's still very witty, but she's been forgetting things like here and there. So the doctor's like, all right, boom, we got to send her to the neurologist. Send her to the neurologist, get some tests. A couple days go by, phone call. You need to get her into the emergency room immediately because she has a massive mass, like a big mass on her actual brain. Oh. And at any point, it can actually explode. So we need to get her here to hopefully bring that swelling down before, God forbid something happens. So, he's telling me this kind of after the fact of what he went through. So he goes to the apartment, sits grandma down, has the conversation. She's a little nervous at first. Bring her to the hospital, ICU. Thank God the steroids that they're giving her. I think she's actually mailing you some. So
I was going to say,
be careful.
Grandma, hit me up.
She's going to be there for you. Thank God they started bringing the swelling and the what's the word for another word for swelling that they use? Inflammation. Yes, inflammation.
Signs.
Very good. The big signs started
signs.
coming down. So she's stable. So that's what we know right now, right? But it was still pretty alarming news going from wow, she's got lung cancer to now she's it could be potential minutes, right? So it was like a wow moment for us. So that was one thing that was just like, okay, this is not just put things into perspective for me. The next thing is back in 2019, we had a coworker of the town that retires, right? She's got a family. She, was on the administration team for one of the departments. Very sweet lady, ended up knowing her pretty well. Did a lot of business with her back and forth. Retires in 2019. As soon as she retires, probably 2-3 months later, she gets diagnosed with ALS. Mm-hmm. Right. ALS is unfortunately one of the most crippling things in the world. Basically, your body turns to literally like a vegetable, and there's no way of preventing it because you can't get tests like prior to see if you're even if that gene kind of exists within you, because it could just happen randomly. Mm-hmm. So she gets diagnosed with that. Then we get the phone call that she passed away. So I was like, oh God, a great lady, and just a wonderful family, gone far too soon. But those two things now set me up for the next day, right? Karina driving to where actually pulls out of the driveway. I hear blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
She swam out of the driveway?
No, a flat tire, right? So I'm like, what the hell? And here I am like, oh, here's my moment. And like most guys would be able to shine at 6 a.m., but I don't know how to change a tire.
You've never changed a tire?
So
really?
I'm like, oh boy. But then I'm like, oh wait.
Oh boy. Billy's next door.
Billy's next door, which by the way, one of my pipes burst in the freezing cold. I forgot to turn the sprinkler system off. And I was like, Bill, come over immediately.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so he ran over, turned it off, thank God.
I need Billy as my neighbor.
Yeah, for real. So I hear this, blubbery sound going down the street. I call her. I'm like, you got a flat. She's like, really? Thanks, Dick.
Well, why'd you keep driving?
Listen.
She drove to Billy's house.
I don't like to, you pay for certain things in life. So Karina's fortunate enough to drive a Mercedes, which has never flats on them. Right. So never flat is a technology of a tire to where literally you can drive on zero pressure for up to 50 miles to get to your destination. So, in the moment, though, this flat tire became a really big stress on us. Right. She said the day before she kind of hit a pothole and she knew that it was going to be flat. I'm like, what? Like, why wouldn't you tell me this? She's like, well, I forgot, obviously. Like, that's why I didn't tell you anything. But thank God we have these never flats. So, now I'm going back and forth with her like, hey, listen, drive on the right side if you're going to get on the highway. But literally, you hear this, but the tire doesn't necessarily look flat because it's a never flat and you can run up to 50 miles on it. But we're stressing. Now she's in traffic. Calls me like there's bumper to bumper traffic because there's an accident ahead. Right? Turns out some guy died on the highway. So we're like, oh my God, like the one day that she needs to get to her destination in time, now some guy dies on the highway. But thank God, what?
Very selfish.
Yeah. What? Right. But it's exactly. Right. But then you're like, wait, that's way worse. Of course I'll sit in this traffic. But at the same time, I'm worried that now my daughter and my wife are driving on a flat tire.
Here's the question.
Yes.
Maybe a dumb question.
Go ahead.
I'm assuming listeners are thinking the same thing.
Yep.
Is it based on the mileage or time? Because if you're just standing still,
correct.
Does that count away? Because it still has pressure on it.
Right. And It's 50 miles. It's not time. So it is 50 miles. And you can probably go a little bit more, but they recommend 50 miles on these never flats.
Sponsored by Never Flat. 50 miles.
But now it comes into a timing issue because Karina's got a first period class.
Yep.
Right. So now the stress just starts building up and she's stuck in traffic. She's rushing and I'm here like trying to calm her down, but I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, they're going to, I don't know, steer off the road and something's going to hit. I start going down the pathway of negativity. So, I'm trying to keep her calm. And then I don't know what happened. We were both kind of like freaking out a little bit. And we just looked back and we said, you know what? It's a good analogy of life right now. Like a flat tire, a pothole that you hit. Those are all easy, recoverable things. Look at what we just found out. You know, Laura Gallagher passes away. Grandma gets diagnosed with this. So we came back and literally, you know, probably 10 to 15 minutes of a window to where we were so worried about the, oh my God, in the moment, but then really put things into perspective and said, you know what? It's really not that big of a deal. So it was just it was a very good lesson to know that, listen, one, things in your life are always going to pop up, but you get to choose how to deal with them. Right. And I'll tie it all into the compounding effect over time, which I believe my current habits have allowed me to take on a mindset to where I'm more able and willing to accept adverse moments in my life. You know, like, and yes, I think that is built up even for me in fitness, right? That fitness mindset of doing one more constantly, stacking that when I don't want to work out and being able to say, you know what, it's my choice to work out. Then slowly over time, those habits begin to build and they translate to different things in your life.
Well said. What happened to the tire? You left us on a hanger.
Yeah. So then
the tire never got fixed.
Right.
Still never flat.
Yes. So we're still running on about 5 miles left. No. Yeah. Mercedes came and no, I lied. You have two options. So you can either hit the SOS. So she hit that. She spoke to somebody for a little bit, and
Excuse
they were
me,
like,
madam, is your husband in the car? Yeah, but he can't change the tire. Okay. Ooh, this is a bad one.
The good thing is that with these never flats, they don't even give you a spare. Like you don't.
That's cocky.
You don't need.
You
right.
deserve the flat tire. Not even to drive around with a spare is ballsy.
You don't need it. So there was two options there. So we called the, we hit the SOS, and they're like, we can come, give you roadside. That's kind of included in the thing. Listen, one thing I do, I know I can't change the tire.
Yeah.
So you better believe that I got roadside assistance, 24-hour service, like all
Billy
that
on
type,
speed dial.
Billy on speed dial, all that type of stuff, just in the case. But she ended up going to the gas station right next door to her job, and they ended up just plugging it.
I got no shame in not being handy anymore. I could care less.
Right.
I'd much rather be able to get it done than be the one doing it, because at the end of the day, who cares, right? Like, who changed a tire? I don't care. You got a tire, don't you?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So no shame. Don't be shamed about that.
Listen.
If anything, lean into it. Maybe don't even lift a finger anymore. Just when you call, be like you hit, lean into it.
But I did my manhood pride when she was driving away on the blah 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 blah. I'm like, shit, I can't even change that thing if I wanted to.
It's manhood is being not prideful. Not you hit that button. You say, listen, my wife needs help.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You still need to make that call.
Exactly. But no, man, thank God it worked out. But, the grand scheme of things is look at those two scenarios, man. Like, those are way worse. We get caught up in the pressures of life too often.
I have a quick one that complements this. So my memory a day, I'm calling it MAD, my MAD journal.
Okay.
I've been keeping pretty good. Missed a couple days. Don't know what happened those days, but whatever. So yesterday I had full day, right? I slept through my alarm. Livy, woke up at when she wakes up at 4 and then goes back to sleep, it kind of throws me off.
Yes.
Because then you get that one good wake up and I'm like, I could stay up, but it's 4 a.m. It's a big difference in 5.
Yep.
And we went to bed early, I probably should have, but I went back to bed, slept through my alarm, woke up at 7 and was like, I guess I'm not doing any morning stuff. So I planned on doing everything at the back end of the day and then taking my second commercial real estate exam, which I haven't done, but there's a time clock. So I'm like, I got to keep selling these houses, but I also have to get this done because I can't let the compound effect of all this hard work, fizzle out because I couldn't keep up with my schedule. So I have this whole evening plan. I'm like, I'm going to go work out, rip a ton of pre-workouts, and then I'm fired up for my exam, right?
Yep. Lined
up. I'm like, you know what? I might even get a steak, eat that while I'm taking the exam, kind of make it all like an event because Dane and the baby are at the in-laws. So I can't say what happened, but basically we had an event where the family wanted to be together, and Dana called me while I was driving in the between appointments and almost crashed because she FaceTimed me while I was driving. Yeah, right? See me? Come on, Dane, do better. But anyway, it was for a great thing. So I, in my head, was like, this is how I make decisions now, and I make them a lot faster. In my head, I was like, can I recreate this moment, or can I get everything I'm going to get done tomorrow that I could push off, right? And the answer was I can't recreate this moment if I let it go by, and I can recreate or redo all this stuff that I was supposed to do tonight tomorrow. It's going to be a pain in the butt, but I can't get this moment back if I don't take advantage of it. And this memory that's going to be amazing and shared, which, again, I'll tell in the future, and I just made the decision so much faster. Where in the past, when you go back
Yep.
and forth, and then by the time you make the decision, you're like, shit, I should have made that 2 hours ago.
Yes.
It was so clear this time that I was very happy that I'm like, oh, it's working.
Your awareness
Because
is there.
My intent,
Yes.
to Dave's point, I was like, it was higher. When you have a coffee and the foam rises,
Yep.
it was at the top. I was ready to make the decision.
I love it. I can't wait to hear what the memory is. Hopefully you'll share that.
Maybe if you guys play your cards right.
But no, man, I think it's a beautiful thing that you're able to be aware in a moment like that now. Because even as men, like I don't know, we're always on the go, and not that women aren't. But Mike has said before that women are extremely lazy. Just
Yeah, you put that. I meant to ask.
I'm
You
just
put that
kidding.
poll up.
Which poll?
Who's more stubborn?
Oh
Who
my God!
answered?
So it turned out like 65.
Was there a war in the DMs?
No, but it was ironic because you can see who was being petty.
Who'd you bet on?
I said men. You said men too, actually. I looked. Yes, you did.
Yeah,
you did.
for optics.
Oh, okay. I kind of figured you were going to do that. But it was 65% said that men were stubborn. But it was funny. I was looking through it. And there was a lot of you put up stupid polls,
I do put up so many stupid
not
ones.
you personally, but I'm saying
I do. I put up stupid
in
ones.
general, like if you put up stupid polls, those are the things that like super hit.
Like J. Cole over Drake any day of the week, which
There
I know
go,
you
right?
disagree
Like,
with.
Yeah, Drake all day.
All right, anyway, we'll get back to that.
Do right and kill everything. So yeah, the
Whole world.
60. What was it? 65 to what's the remaining balance there? 35. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Right.
Accountants.
But you can see
The
who
big accountant.
was being petty and who was being like vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because there were certain women that I know their personality. And they were like men, like because they had certain experiences. But then there were women, like my mother-in-law, that I
nice.
saw. She said women, and I was like, oh, okay. You can kind of tell her, but men took the cake on that.
Took the W.
Yeah.
As always. Attaboy,
That's
man.
right. Man power.
Do we have a larger female following group?
No, this was on my
Yeah.
personal, so it's
What do you
pretty.
think our
pretty
ratio
similar.
is for followers?
Asking for
it's
Justin.
pretty close actually. It's like 52 to 48. I think.
I think I have a dude fest on my side. Because I'm like anyone who interacts with me, it's usually guys, which is
Dude
fine. Like
fest.
shout out to my boys, the gang, boy gang.
Boy gang.
So interesting. To bring it back to what you were saying about being president and all this stuff.
Yep.
I don't know why I heard this at one point. And I've always acted that way, but even more so lately. I always think like if I died this year, did I squeeze everything out of my days?
Squeeze the lemons.
Which is weird because,
Squeeze.
but it's
Good
getting.
workout.
But I've acted so. I don't think I've acted different, but I've acted more on that thought lately for some reason, because I feel very fortunate that things are going the way they're going. That I think like Cinderella, that any moment the clock could hit midnight and it's all gone. So I've been in this weird like anxious mode of just getting stuff done, because I'm worried that it's just a moment in time and I'm never going to get back into the flow. So I have this weird, like, if I don't get my stuff done today, it's all gone. And I like it, but it's another like gear that I'm starting to hit. I don't know why it started though, but I think it's the babe, Livy, like, everything kind of, all the compound interest starting to show.
Yep.
That I'm like, this could be a fluke. Like, it could be a fluke. You got to keep going. Because I think I'm going to hit midnight and turn into a friggin' pumpkin. I
think that adds an additional layer of, drive to yourself.
Yeah.
It's something that's beyond the motivation, beyond the inspiration. I
do you think of me
freaking
as
love it,
Cinderella?
man. But you see what?
Do you see me as Cinderella?
So listen, Cinderella hitting midnight, is that like a thing in the movie?
The only thing Cinderella has that I have is the cinder blocks that I push up in the morning. That's the only thing.
Speaking of Cinderella, somebody tell me that, so my brother-in-law makes fun of me because I'm not really a movie guy, if you didn't know that.
Didn't know it.
So the Hocus Pocus is a movie, right? Now, did the Hokey Pokey not come from Hocus Pocus, the movie?
No, it did not.
Because I made a comment to him, and I screenshotted it to you guys because I figured you'd appreciate. But Hocus Pocus and Hokey Pokey have nothing to do with each other? It's pretty ironic that they have the same name and they're nothing to do with each other.
The fact that I'm a avid moviegoer and I love quoting movies and you're not makes me not want to be friends with you.
I'm working on it.
I think about that every day. I'm like, is Dave really worth it to be friends with? Because he does not know any movie quotes. I would talk to you way more if you knew movies, because the majority of my references are to movies.
Yeah, I don't know. So my mother,
I'm going to use one today for the topic.
Let's go.
I have one lined up.
I'll get it.
You won't. You will never get this
Don't worry.
one because it's a great movie, and for that mere reason, I know you didn't watch it.
Mike's movie quote of the day.
Well, it's not a quote.
All
It's
right,
just the concept.
We'll get there naturally, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if we ever get to the topic,
If we ever get to the
we will.
topic. So going right into the topic. It's funny that we were talking about.
Don't
go ahead.
cross your arms though. Your arms are scaring me.
So it's funny. The
Yeah,
only
get those
body
outta
part
here.
that gets cold for whatever reason is my hands. I don't know why.
Soft hands.
Yeah, so
Not these hard
Gotta
babies.
build these bad boys up.
See
Do you
this
want
callus?
Do you want a pair of gloves?
No, I'm good.
I got some with cuts on the
With
fingers.
cuts on the fingers?
I
Guys,
love
don't
Mike.
hate. Don't hate.
I love
Okay.
those.
Don't hate.
Thank you.
Don't hate.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NoSnooze30. Again, that's NoSnooze30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
Compound effect, right? Now, this is actually a book that I read. Darren Hardy, I believe
Atomic
his
Habits?
name is.
Is that what it?
No.
Damn it.
It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Shit.
All right. And essentially what it is the concept, and I read this early on in my personal professional development career, or, you know, when I had aspirations to do a little bit better in business specifically, started reading it. The concept of how small choices over time basically lead to massive results and massive change. Something I think we always kind of allude to on the podcast. But the way that he breaks it down in this formula, I mean, I couldn't have had a better process myself.
We got another process.
No, I couldn't have had a better process myself.
Should we break it in phases?
It's easy. It's choices, right? Everything in your life revolves around choices. Every single thing that you do is a choice, right? Depending on the uncontrollable things that may happen in your life. But for the most part, when it comes to building success, it's based on the first step of choices. And then it's followed by your behavior. Once you make a choice, you now get to behave a certain type of way. Is that going to benefit my choice, right? That I chose, or is it going to be something that I'm not going to align myself with? So you got choices plus behavior plus your habits. Right?
Which is kind of behavior.
Correct, but habits are something that now there's science between 30 and 66 days of you doing a repetitive action
Phase
over
one.
and over again, phase one.
Yep.
You can develop habits in your life. And that habit of whatever you're doing after a period of between 30 to 66, I would lean more towards 66. It becomes
I'd go more towards
a
like 10.
lot easier to actually include in your life.
Got it.
Right? So you got choices plus behavior plus habits plus time. Because
Time's a big one.
you have to be patient. We always want the get rich quick scheme, the get fit quick scheme, right? That Michael Pirelli loves. But at the end of the day, every single thing that we do, if we want to reach some sort of level, we have to understand that this is a process over an extended period of time. And anybody you look at, besides, you know, people these days with, you know, Bitcoin and that whole
That's
lifestyle.
extended period of time though too.
So for some, but some people got rich really quick off of it, right? People hit the lotto. That's like uncontrollable. You know, you get rich quick. Those types of things are the anomalies.
Yeah, but the people that get rich quick, I don't know if there's a stat, but I would think because it didn't take time, those people are way more likely to lose the money quicker.
Right. I would agree. But one of the best references that he uses in the book, and I read it a while ago, but what it was essentially he took two friends and put them on the exact same diet, right, for 31 months. So it's a long time. It's roughly almost 3 years, but it's like it comes out to like 930 days.
Got it.
One friend had to be in a deficit of 125 calories compared to the other friend. So you have the exact same diet, but he just pulled 125 calories a day from this one friend and stuck to that for 31 months, which was 930 days, measured the results, right? We know that 3,500 calories is 1 pound. Like we know that because we spoke about that before, right? But again, if you don't know it,
I wrote it down multiple
3,500 calories is 1 pound. So over this extended period of time of just 125 calories, that's not much. That's like a little pack of 100 calorie pack here and there.
It's one Oreo.
Couple bites of something. No, probably 2 because I think it's 140 calories.
Your Oreo math is tight.
I know that stuff easy. But over that extended period of time of 930 days, subject 1, who was consuming that additional 125 calories, actually ate 116,000 more calories. That's a ton of calories, right?
A lot.
Divide that by 3,500 calories, which is 1 pound. This dude was 33 pounds heavier than the guy who didn't eat that extra 125
I don't like how you're pointing
calories.
at me, saying I'm the guy.
But you take something so small, like, and I love that. I love that example because you take something so small of 125 calories, right? We see it all the time. 100 calorie pack this, 100 calorie pack that. That little action over an extended period of time can either make you or break you. And it's the same thing in your life, right? Same thing in fitness, same thing in health and wellness, business. It's so applicable and so easy to understand. Besides my math,
Well said.
right? Well, it's not me. That's I'm just sharing.
No, it's a good share. That was a great share. I think of it more, I get what you're saying. That's kind of linear.
Yeah.
I think of it more as like an exponential compound.
Ooh, great word because
Exponential is a big word.
no, it was good because there's this quote in the book that he says that at some point you create an exponential curve on your results.
So
Go
like
ahead.
the linear stuff doesn't get me excited, but the thought of, which is how I've kind of tricked myself to try to stick to this version,
Yep.
is the thought of that I'm going to be, when you're consuming less calories, you have less fat, which means you have more muscle ratio, which means that it's going to be easier to burn more calories in the future, which then means that your 125 calories you're eating less of is even effectively less because you're burning more anyway. So that 125 is really 150, 160, 170, and that increases, so it's easier to maintain. So maybe it's the lazy guy in me, but every time I do something, I think of how is that going to be an easier thing to do in the future, so that I can do more of it, or just naturally, less time it takes to get the same output. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like with relationships, because I always go the business route, which I'll get to, but I thought about, let me entertain the folks with a relationship comparison.
Preach, my brother.
Okay. So I don't have a lot of tight-knit friends, right? I see a lot of like my brother, there's a lot of people in my life. CV, I'm not too familiar with your crew. I'm sure you have tons. You have no friends. I know that. No, I'm just kidding. So I think of that and I'm like, that's great. But even when I was younger, I always thought to myself, like, I don't know how I'm going to keep up all these friends, right? Like I can barely keep in touch with like my core group and my brother. Like I don't even talk to my brother enough. So then I start thinking like, part of the reason I have such good relationships with all my friends is that I've spent and invested so much time in them, so that every time I have with them, it's even more fun because we have so many good times to look back to. So it takes less effort with all my friends that we're able to keep such a high level of relationship because we have such a good history of fun times. And so like, even if we just meet for a drink, it's so much more fun than just meeting a random friend that I just started talking to at the bar, because you have so much to build off of, right? And that works with, your wife. We have so many fun times to look back to that now we're enjoying things more, and the return on our time spent together is even exponentially, enjoyable. Livy, the more time I spend with her, the more things that she knows that when I walk in the room, she wants to wrestle me. Because we have all these times before that we wrestled. So now the time for her to get excited and play with me, the return on my time with her is more enjoyable just exponentially because of the time I spent with her, in the past.
Right.
So that's the relationship stuff. Then on top of that, the skill sets, right? That's the biggest thing I think about with compound interest when it comes to something other than money. Because money is kind of an easy one to look at. When you invest, you have to reinvest, else the compound effect doesn't take hold. If you're making a farm, and every time you grow your first apple trees and you cut all the apple trees down, there's no compound effect. If you take half of the apple trees and leave half, then next time you grow, you're going to be able to plant more apple trees, and then it's going to be double the amount of apple trees, right? Or whatever it is.
Yep.
So it's like you can take some out, but you got to keep some in and reinvest it. So with, skill sets, I think that allows you to do that. So when you're selling, so real estate's an easy example. Every deal when you start out is the first time you're doing a deal, whatever scenario it is. Then it becomes probably the second time you're doing a deal. Then it becomes bigger deals. So you're doing the same action, but you're getting bigger payouts because you're doing, you have a better skill set and you have a better history to look back to. So that compounds into more return on your time. Then you get to a point where you're like, all right, well, if I want to get to this next level of deals, I got to learn this skill. But you can't get to that level unless you learned all these other levels. So that compounds, because if someone wants to recreate what you're trying to do, they got to start at A, right? You could skip the goal, or you could skip the steps, but you still have to learn all that stuff to be able to have a return on your time. So you're stacking these skills that are in line with your profession, whatever it is. For me, it's real estate. So that when you get to year 10, which I'm on roughly, your return on time kind of starts to get exponential. And then the goal is to use that and just keep reinvesting it. You have exponential growth, so you can either kind of cut your tree off at the top and just take the profits, or you can keep reinvesting it and then hope that that hockey stick keeps going.
Yes.
I threw a lot of things there because I have a hard time putting it into words because everything is kind of intertwined in what I'm doing. But without stacking skills and reinvesting, none of it would come to fruition. Does that it make sense at all?
So
I hit on a lot of topics.
No, but I think you hit it perfectly. In every aspect that you just said, I can process that and say that is exactly what I'm trying to, the message that I'm trying to put out as well. Yeah. And I think the most important thing that we can agree on looking back at all of your examples is that time invested.
It's big.
Right? Time is like the biggest thing in the world, because if you're doing something, even in relationships, right? If you're working on a relationship for 3 months and then you stop, then you jump to a new relationship, that's fine if you're looking for that and you're looking for that person or whatever. But even with your friends, you're so much more likely to be able to look back because you've invested so much time, and it's taken years to create these memories. Yeah. Same thing with our daughters, right? Our wives. Like, we're going on 10 years in the business industry. For me, it's 12 years in my relationship with my wife. Our daughters are 2 solid years coming up on every single day investing time into it. So of course there's going to be exponential growth. That same thing needs to be applied to any hobby or structure that you want to apply in your life, right? For investment purposes, looking at the S&P 500. Over the course of the past 30 years, statistically, there's been a return of over 10% over the past 30 years. Doesn't sound like much, but when you put that over time, it's a ridiculous amount of money, because I can tell you firsthand, CV can tell you, there was things that, I put him onto with a specific account that, at first, your first 5-6 years, you don't really get that much growth because, between the fees, the interest, it doesn't look like you're really making progress. Same thing with like a mortgage, right? For years, it doesn't look like you're making progress.
Or building muscle.
Or what? Or building muscle. But something happens to when it clicks, and then I was fortunate enough to hit that first 6 figures in an account for a retirement fund, right? Now my exponential growth getting to $200,000 is going to be half the time with the same action of, average
dollar cost
averaging in, or is that a percentage? Obviously, the more money you make, you could take more. It's the same principle, but are we willing to be patient enough, and are we committed to a process? That's where people, I think, we always give up way too easy before we end up reaping benefits for ourselves, and then there is that time that you're so confused and you're like, damn, I want to quit. I'm not really getting growth. I'm not seeing the results that I want. If you continue doing that action over and over and over again, at some point you will reap the results, as long as your passion didn't change for that project. If your passion changes for a project, then that's obviously a different thing.
It's people get impatient. I was guilty of this, and I still am to this day, where people, and I've seen it in my industry, where people, jump out for a year and then they jump back in, and then they have to start all over again. And now that I'm in the business for 10 years, I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't do anything like that, and I just stuck to the process. Because one of my favorite documentaries of all time is Jeremy Linsanity.
Yep, I've seen that
because
of your recommendation.
One of my favorite of all time. His whole thing is that he works so hard, but for whatever reason, didn't get the opportunity. And then once he got in the game, he was firing shots, making layups, doing all this stuff. And yes, some could argue it was a flash in the pan. I think he still has a decent career, but it's the 10 years or whatever he put in, more than that, where no one sees it, and then it finally breaks through. But he could have quit at say it happened in year 10. He could have quit at 9 years and 11 months, but he just kept going, and then it kind of like broke through. So I rewatched that one night because I feel like I'm at a point where like I've put in so much hard work that no one saw, that now I'm like in the public eye and actually doing things that are backing up everything I say. So now that that's happening, I'm trying to remind myself that you worked for all this and it's all compound interest. So when you're in the game, take the shot. Don't be hesitant. You put in all that work. Yes, it wasn't as public, but now that you're in the game, you can't play tentative because they're going to steal the ball and go the other way. So it's like keep leaning on it, keep the foot on the gas, and keep pushing, because just because you're having compound interest, you got to keep the acceleration.
Yes.
Right? Like you got to keep your foot on the gas.
Have to.
Because if you let go, it goes like this.
Yep.
And then you just level out. And then all of this work that took forever to get to here, you just cut it off at the where you would be going crazy,
Mm-hmm. Even look at the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to be able to look back soon and be like, damn, that was 100 episodes. I mean, it took some time. It took some time, but we didn't stop. We kept going. And then at some point, it might be 150 episodes, it might be 200, it might be 250. I don't know. At some point, we're going to catch a big break to where you have a massive guest on that gets shared, and there's exponential growth that now takes you to that next level. Same thing with your brand and what you're building, right? Same thing in business for whatever industry that you're in. It's the same principles, and there's no big secret besides you have to put the work in, and you have to be willing to go through the shit to get to the other side. You have to. Because there's no get-rich-quick scheme in life. I mean, maybe there is for some, but then you're a schemer, right? At the end of the day, that's what it is. A couple things, for individuals, even in, I was thinking of some health examples, right? A big thing as a parent is a lack of sleep, right? And it's pretty serious. It's something that you really can't control. But the concept of just being able to get in bed 30 minutes before you anticipated every single day, right? If you're able to close your eyes 30 minutes before, over the course of a week, that's 3.5 additional hours of sleep, right? Over the course of a year, that's, I don't know, an additional 7 or 8 days of sleep that you could have potentially got. But it's a little thing that in the moment, you're like, is it really worth it? Yeah, get your ass off the couch, go to bed, close your eyes, sit there, relax. It's something very small that you can apply. Something that I've done in my life is, instead of ice cream, I love ice cream. Right, I just started doing the frozen strawberries, but this is now probably 2 years of me loving this recipe. But imagine if I was eating ice cream every damn night.
I got to give up Halo Top. I feel like you have a hidden camera in my house.
No, but you know what I mean? It's small choices that, yes, of course, is ice cream, does it taste better? Yes, but I could have that ice cream on a Saturday night when I'm hanging out with my friends and my family. But for the most part, I need to be focused. I need to be diligent on what it is that I'm trying to build, because just that extra 125 calories, as we said, over an extended period of time can be 35 pounds. I'm not trying to be personally. I'm in my 30s now. I'm not trying to be in my 40s, my 50s, and my 60s, even my 70s, to where I'm one of those guys that's like, oh, look back at how brolic I was. Yeah, I probably was more brolic in my 20s and 30s, but at least I'm still a healthy individual.
See, that's why you got to set the bar low and have your compound growth to hit it when you're in your 40s.
Right. But you get what I'm saying? It's very easy. Imagine over the course of 30 years, you just get, so by the time we're 62 years old, which is, the time that I can probably retire and sit back with my family and enjoy, my fruits of life that I've built. Imagine if from today I just gained 2 pounds a year. It's just 2 pounds a year. That's an extra 66 pounds that I'd be walking around with just because I put on 2 pounds a year. So these little things, they really add up over time.
Good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad. Career examples, right? You want to get better in your career. What are you doing on a daily basis that's going to give you that exponential growth over time? I would say, just off of what I'm doing with my supervision and these one-on-ones, if you're an employee, request a meeting with your supervisor once a month. All you got to do is request one meeting once a month. Imagine if you're a CEO, you're a president, you're a VP, you're a supervisor of some sort, and your team members come to you and they say, listen, man, I just want to pick your brain, or if it's a female, I want to pick your brain for 30 minutes. I want some insight, right? And I want to get better in my life. Imagine what that person, if they're a piece of shit, they're going to tell you to go kick rocks. But for the most part, people are good people, and they're going to say, oh, wow, you want that for yourself? I want to help you, right? And now stack that over a period of 6 to 12 months. Now you just gain some really good insight from a high level individual that you want to learn from, right? There's very little things that people can be doing. The approach to personal professional development, right? 5-10 pages a day. We say it all the time, but like, try it out. Right? See how that works for you. Think about the concept of you just in a year being able to read 6 to 12 books in a hobby that you want to get better at. Take that over 3 years. I mean, you just learned more than you learned your entire school career.
Well, it's like the Kobe thing, right? Didn't he say like he would work out 2 hours before everyone because at the end of the year he would have X amount of days?
Yes. Yeah. It was ridiculous. But it's formulas like that to know, you know, this doesn't happen just because to people.
Yeah.
It's the people who commit on a level over time that are able to make it.
So you ready? Because you just transitioned me perfectly into my movie reference.
Let's go. I'm going to get this.
So one of my favorite movies of all time, if you haven't seen it, go watch, is
Drumline.
The Prestige.
Oh.
Drumline's a good one, though. Dude, Drumline is a great movie.
All right, you know.
It's a great movie. My book, Storyworthy, talks about a good story is when the lead person has a epiphany and changes.
Okay.
So Drumline or Jurassic Park, any of the classics, Drumline I threw in with Jurassic Park.
There you go.
Nick Cannon's arrogant and then he changes, right? And then he's a team player. It's a very basic story. It's just set in Atlanta with great halftime shows, women, drums, my white guy that crushes it with the
I don't know. I haven't seen it. It was on my head.
You've never seen Drumline?
No.
You're getting me distracted. I digress.
But it was a good example. Right? Look at that. Alley-oop.
It wasn't. I'm not what I was trying to say. So The Prestige, one of my favorite movies of all time. Christopher Nolan, who made Batman, he made all the classics that I love, Interstellar. And the story is two magicians that are dueling back and forth, right? And one of the magicians comes up with this, they're going back and forth and they have like a coach. He's the guy who's in Batman. You don't know any of these people. So their coach basically says, you want to see an amazing magician, go see this older dude that does a fishbowl trick. Whoever figures out the fishbowl trick, I'll give you an extra like 5 minutes on stage, right? Okay. And these are young guys when they're starting out. They end up being like super successful. But anyway, they go to the show and there's this older guy that's limping around, right? And like he's about to do the fishbowl trick. And he goes in front of this thing and he's got a big cape and he like shakes the cape and all of a sudden there's a fishbowl with a fish in it on the mantle, whatever it was.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, like how did he do that? And it cuts to them trying to practice to do this trick. And they have the fishbowl between their knees that's empty without a water or fish. And they're like doing the trick and like, this is impossible. That dude's old and limping and he could do this trick. And then the guy's like, he's not old and he doesn't limp. He committed to his craft and he lives it.
Wow.
So my man was faking that he was older and had a limp so he could do that fishbowl trick.
To give you that wow factor.
Correct.
To take it away from...
Because then people are trying to recreate it and they're like, I don't know how he can do that because he's so old and limps. But he's only limps because he does that trick. And he's actually strong. So what I took from the movie was that, and they took it too. They like lived it and it's a wild story. They basically are trying to figure out how to teleport and, one guy, I don't want to give it up, but if you haven't seen The Prestige, here's a spoiler alert.
Oh, boy.
Do you want to hear it or no? Because you're never going to watch it.
I am going to watch it. I'm going to add it to the list.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I won't say it. I won't say it. But basically, the moral of the story of the whole movie is that these guys who are magicians live the lifestyle and they sacrifice stuff so that all of their efforts compound so that when they do that trick in front of the crowd, they've built up, their life to be able to pull it off so people can't figure out how they did it. So what I took from it was like, if I'm going to be the guy in real estate and I want to be like the best, for whatever that's worth, I need to live it day to day and I can't slack. If I go out to dinner with my wife, yes, I can enjoy dinner, but I have to be presentable. I have to be dressed well. I have to be ready to talk real estate. I can't be blacked out drunk like I've done in the past. in all honesty, there's been nights where if someone came up to me and I was potentially going to be their realtor, I probably would have lost a listing because no one wants to see their advisor for their real estate blacked out drunk, right? That's just, if I want to commit to doing this and being a fixture in the community, I have to be aware of that when I'm in town. You have to be on your best behavior. And yes, it's a sacrifice, but it's one you got to do if you want to, at the end of the day, be the fishbowl trick.
I love it. Really well explained. I see it. I hear it. I will say, but then you have to come to my town more often, so then you can get blacked out drunk, and it's okay.
I don't condone it. I condone having a good time, and yes, that's kind of the reason that I don't mind it. But what I've realized is that you're always working.
Correct.
We went out recently with Matt, Britt, Phil, and Lauren. We went to a couple spots in Greenwich. I ended up talking to like 4 or 5 people that I know in the community, and I wasn't feeling it at all. I mean, I had a little buzz, but I was conscious going into that dinner that I'm probably going to see people I know, and I need to be ready. Which is, it's a sacrifice. I mean,
hell yeah.
You don't really like relax,
but there's a time and a place.
But it's compound, right? Just because that night I didn't have an extra martini and I was aware of it, that guy in the future that's going to turn around and be like, oh yeah, it was great seeing you, like, let's talk business. It's potentially a great deal versus like, that kid's, he's too busy having fun. He's not going to be able to sell my house.
I love where your head is at, man.
Watch The Prestige.
I'm serious.
Movie.
I have
Favorite
to.
movie
I'll add it to the list. Before we wrap up here, I do want to share one thing that it gets asked pretty frequently, and I think it ties in nicely to the compound effect. But how do you build self-confidence and begin to believe in yourself?
A lot of caffeine, a lot of pre-workout.
Right. So, well, besides that, I got this. I don't know. It's a eyelash in my eye. Sorry. So it's a question that I get commonly asked, and like I don't really know the exact answer to it, but I have a very good analogy that ties into friends. Right? Take 2 friends. You take your best friend, whoever it is, me. Okay?
It's a good one.
And you're building your relationship, and then I say, Mike, you know what? We're gonna go out Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Right? So Tuesday night at 6 p.m. comes around, I never come through. So you're like, all right, maybe something happened to the guy. All right, let's try it again.
I'd go to the gym and be like, is he in here?
Is he here?
Because he stood me up.
Right. So again, I stood you up. Now we make plans. You give me another opportunity, and it's like, you know what? Let's meet Friday at 5 p.m. Friday, 5 p.m. comes around. Boom, I stand you up again. Okay. All right. Because we're such good friends, hopefully you give me maybe another opportunity.
No, you're out.
Okay. But again, maybe you give me another opportunity because you're great, because that's only 2 times, right? Now, the 3rd time, I'm like, listen, Mike, I'm sorry, I apologize. Listen, I'm going to commit to this, and then we're going to go out Monday, 3 p.m. Monday, 3 p.m. comes around, nothing. You end up believing that I'm a flake, correct?
Yeah, or these are bad times.
Right. Well, bad time, but you think I'm a flake, right? That's
you
predominantly
their friends that that they're probably going to flake out before an event.
So the same way that you would not want that done to you is the same way you need to be treating your own life, right? When you pick up something and you start it and you say to yourself, I'm going to lose 5 pounds, and you don't do it, you begin to think subconsciously that you're flaky.
Yeah.
You now set a goal. You want to save $1,000 in your bank account, and you come up short. You subconsciously start to begin that you're flaky. It's the same principle, right? We have to start saying things and then coming through for ourselves. The more that we can do that and do what we say we're going to do, that builds belief and confidence in yourself. Does that analogy work? Did I explain it okay?
That was great.
Sometimes when I explain things to my wife, she looks at me like,
no, that was...
Does that make sense?
I like how you posed the question. You get us thinking. It was nice. It was well said.
Does it? Yes, Justin.
You
have
to be accountable for yourself.
Correct. And there's no other formula for that. Like, that's what it is, right? The same way that we lean on friends, and you wouldn't do that to your friend. Stop doing that nonsense to yourself.
My counter argument, or not counter, but compliment to that is like, you also have to be. I don't know how you feel about this. You can't beat yourself up, right? You have to be honest with yourself. But you can give yourself another opportunity to do it again. You know what I mean? Like, I've struggled with getting to that point that we've talked about with the 10% and all that stuff. Not because I'm not committed. it's because I have other priorities that take the place of it, that it falls down on the list. So, like, I don't beat myself up because I know at the end of the day, in certain facets, maybe not that facet, I do what I say. In the fitness industry, it has not been the case. But
it kind of has, though. Just because you didn't reach a goal doesn't mean that you're not still taking the action. If you stopped working out and you were like...
But if you say you're going to get to 10%, which I have, I said a lot of outlandish things on this podcast, and you don't do it, you could very easily beat yourself up and be like, I'm just not the guy that's going to do it. Versus you're going to say, I'm still figuring it out. I'm going to get there. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'll figure it out. You give yourself... I personally give myself a little more flexibility in going for goals because I've seen in the past, to your point, I've said things, and yes, they don't come to fruition right away, but 2-3 years down the road, I figure it out, and then I'm like, oh, I said that 3 years ago. If someone judged me on the year, they would think I failed, but they didn't look at the 3 years. So I give myself a little leeway, but I know what you're saying. It's a slippery slope.
I couldn't agree more. My piece of what I just said is when you know that you want something, right?
Yeah,
you know, there is a process to figuring things out.
But that's my point is, like, I want it. I just couldn't get it done.
Correct. You know, but I also think that there is something to be said about, you know, falling off the wagon and being able to get back. You've always been able to snap back, and I envy that about you, because me, when I don't accomplish something, you know, if it's not something that I want, I probably just give up on it, which is not the best approach unless you just don't want that piece in your life anymore. So yes, I'm not saying that, you know, everything that you say you have to do it, but if you're really looking for that compound effect in certain aspects, you got to apply it at some point. Yeah. So that's really it. I think we spit again. I love it. I think we rambled on, and this will bring us to my favorite section, and I guess it's our only section.
It's the finale. Now. I think I'm making a decision on behalf of everyone.
All right. I like it.
It's repetitive. Yours are always much better.
No.
So no, I like it. Dave's Dime of the Week. You end on a nice high note or down note, whatever you decide, and then we wrap it up. I like it. You got to be adjusting on the fly.
Yes. So this will bring us to my favorite section, Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes. Can you have it thrown out of my hand?
Dave's Delts.
Dave's Delts of the Week.
You like that?
What?
Davey Deltoids.
You're looking skinny.
Davey. That means that I'm looking huge.
How do you feel? I'm 107 pounds of muscle.
That's kind of what I am, right?
No, you're like 120.
120.
I don't think I can get to 120.
Justin said, "Bro, I'm 130."
Yeah, that's good. That's fine though, because how old are you?
That's his actual weight. 17. Yeah, but I was 153.
Yeah, but you're 17. He's 38.
I was 38. Come on, bro. They think I'm 42 already.
You do look like you're 40. Yeah. Which, no offense to 40-year-olds, because I think I'm hitting my athletic peak. I think like maybe 35.
Yes. Peak.
I think I'm gonna hit my peak at like I think of everything as like sports. I think I'm in my big years. You know, this is where you make the money years.
Yes.
But like 35, I think is where I'm gonna peak.
Prime.
I'm gonna peak out at 35.
Yep. Yeah, I am. I'm 32. No, he's joking, man. He's joking. So anyway, and the next episode, I am putting CV back on the spot. I told him I was going to do it today, but I'll do it the next time.
He looks great, by the way. I didn't want to say it.
It's unbelievable. He looks great. He's down a significant amount of weight.
Really? How did we skate over this? When we do the pod update, you have me talking about my stupid workouts, and you have actually good stuff to say.
I thought it was coming. I'm not going to lie, because this morning when I arrived into the office, there was a memo on my desk, and the memo said, if you want to continue to hold that voice title that we give you at the beginning of the podcast, we're going to expect more voice talking from you.
Yeah, correct.
So I was preparing myself. That's why I kept chiming in.
Well, you kept chiming in.
So I was like, oh, it must be coming, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting.
So how about this? Before we get into Dave's Dime of the Week, I think
we're going to have to do a second.
I think we need to bring CV, Claudio the Voice Valenzuela, to the podcast, because I will say that I have noticed a significant improvement in his approach to life. I've just seen it. I can't say I know exactly what it is, but I physically see it as well, which is hard on somebody you see almost every day.
I was going to mention on the podcast, I apologize, I hadn't. When I walked in, I was a little taken aback.
Really?
I think he looks great.
I said it to him the other day that you can physically, because when you see somebody every day, it's tough.
He's
right?
glowing.
It's tough. It's tough to notice. But he walked in, he had a little bagginess to his. No, it was baggy, his sweater. I'm like, yo, man, you're looking really lean. So CV, I don't know if you want to share with us what it's been, how it's going, but you look good, my brother.
Appreciate you guys. So, long story short, Yes, there has been some weight loss in the forefront, so that has been good. It's been about 25, 26, 27 pounds.
Right.
Holy
come
shit.
off
Oh my God.
in the
pardon my
last couple of
French.
months, something like
Yep.
that. I'm giving you that
How you
whole
saying
range.
that so casually?
Right?
I'd be waving in people's faces.
And like I said, long story short, a few months ago I had a moment of epiphany, and it has changed the way I definitely see my outlook on life, my outlook on everything that I do. And it's ironic and weird because I sit behind a camera that I hear you guys every single day, weekend, or for Dave every single day. But with the team every week, consistently talking about goals and pushing and all this good stuff. And I got this epiphany a few months ago, which obviously it came from something negative, and it really has turned the way I see things, and that kind of was the beginning of my journey. And honestly, it was a journey of me myself, a spiritual journey, trying to find myself, for me to understand and see things in a more positive manner. And obviously I wanted to be healthy, and that's something that I've always known and thought. But again, there's a very big difference between knowing, thinking, and actually doing. And that's something, I think that's the difference. I think that's what I've done differently, which is to really be more serious about being healthy. And of course, reaping the benefits now of me eating healthier, controlling my portions, not eating crap, not, exercising every day. Just all those things have compound interested into me, I guess, losing the weight that you guys are seeing. I guess it's nonchalant on my end because yeah, I recognize it. Yes, I see it. Yes, I am happy about it. I'm not one to go out there and flaunt it like that. But it's something that to me it's part of the journey. And I'm excited that for me personally, I have been feeling 10 times better than I did last year. 10 times better than I did in my weakest moment that led me to begin this journey.
Nice.
And that's what's got me excited because I feel good, I feel positive, and it has changed the way I feel and the way I kind of see everything.
Amazing. Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah,
and
man.
the fact that you're like nonchalant about it makes me think that this is it.
This is
you're
it.
just going to roll right into a goddamn six-pack, and I'm going to be the only one that's out of shape.
So I remember Mike and I, we used to say, and CV, I don't know if you knew this, but we would say to each other, we're going to get him.
Well, you more
remember?
than me.
No, but
I was always defending him because you were yelling at him on the podcast.
But
I'm like, I got to protect my
But there
man.
were multiple
Thank you.
times.
Yeah. I was like,
Thank you,
eventually
Miguelito.
it's going to click.
There was multiple times that we were like, we're going to get him.
Well, I've been saying that
get him.
about hopefully it clicks with me, too.
Well,
That's
the one
sick,
thing I
dude.
can say, and this
That's
is
sick.
kind of unfortunate. We've had this conversation with Dave in the office a couple of times, because the question is, how do you teach, or how do you put the message out to somebody when you know it's the right thing to do? Because I've always known it's the right thing to do, whether I did it or didn't, or did it in spurts, or did it haphazardly. How do you get to that point? How do you teach that? And I still to this day don't know.
Yeah.
The one thing we have, I think, come to an agreement to is that sometimes, unfortunately enough, you have to see an ugly side of life to kind of get that epiphany, that life epiphany that makes you really change the way you see and the way you start acting on things. And for me,
For sure.
that's what it was. And now the silver lining on that is, although it was a very negative time and moment in my life, the silver lining is that here I am now talking differently. Here I am now experiencing things differently. But how do you teach that to someone that hasn't had that? I think that's the conversation we've had.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
Do me a favor next time when I'm talking about my workouts, interrupt me and give that gold, because I'm sure everyone would rather heard that in the beginning.
That was beautiful.
So if you like what you're hearing and you want to help CV drop some more, get that six-pack, like, subscribe, maybe buy a hat, a shirt. Like, let's motivate us.
Yes, let's get it going. All right, so this will bring us back.
Forget
to
Dave's
my
Dimes. That
favorite
was a good
section.
lineup.
Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes. CV took over.
Round it up. No, that was fire. Well done, my brother. Very short one. Pretty much. Just because you're having a bad day does not mean that you have a bad life. Deep. Because we get so in our heads about things, and there are times that you have bad days, right? But it's developing the ability that, you know what, if you make mistakes, okay. If you fall off the wagon a little bit, okay. But that does not determine who you are as an individual. You have an opportunity to get back on track if you want to. So don't let one bad experience or one bad day make you believe and get in your head and start thinking negatively that you have a bad life. I'm guilty of that myself, something that I'm working on every single day.
I feel compelled to share that I had a Whopper yesterday.
So you have a bad life,
really
my
good,
brother.
dude. Really good.
I want to say something. I love that quote. It definitely hit me deep this morning. And I want to add one last thing just to close it down.
Did you have a Whopper too?
No. No Whoppers for me. We're talking about compound interest or whatever.
Yep.
And just that quote is resonating because what I do remember prior to my epiphany moment that I had, prior to that whole thing happening, the negative thoughts that kept compounding in my mind was what was leading me down that path to eventually I got to where I spiraled kind of out of control. And I think as much as we talk about compound interest in a positive way, it can also happen on the backside of things, on the negative side of things. That's why I love the quote, because it is absolutely 100% true that one bad day does not mean that you have a bad life. And a lot of times when you're having bad days, it's very easy to say, oh, well, the next day it's another bad day and another bad day. And before you know it, you've compound interested a whole negative way of seeing life. So I love the quote. Just wanted to put that out there. Keep looking forward. I love it.
I think I need to learn how to work a camera because it looks like my job's done.
No, man, it's a beautiful thing to see too.
By the way, I did mess up on the camera. It was on Dave the entire time.
Oh man, I'm over here looking like super crunch.
That's good. Don't put it on me yet. I gotta earn it.
That was good. CV, thank you for sharing. Michael,
Be so funny if you blurred me out until I got to 10%.
and just put him there. No, man, it's good to see that all of us we there are good times in our lives and there's bad times in our lives. It's the flow of life. But as long as we're on this journey together with the No Snooze mindset and building and constantly wanting daily progress, that's what it's all about. Knowing that there are times that you will be able to enjoy that Whopper. So until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
What's on the Whopper though?
Dude, amazing.
Let's go.
That's another Epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.